A break in the chain. Cold weather will prevent 100,000 doses of the COVID vaccine from getting to Colorado on time. Now the state tries to minimize the impact.
Temperature's not as cold, but there's more snow coming our way.
This has been a little bit hard.
And a family feels the love from Denver7 viewers as they heal from a painful loss.
I thank everybody out there that helped us. This means a lot to us.
And we're going to begin tonight with a milestone. Colorado now has administered 1 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine.
313,000 people are fully vaccinated tonight, and that is 5.4% of the state. Now, things could get a bit dicey in the coming days. Vaccine shipments to 22 states, including Colorado, are being held up by cold weather.
The problem started with a distribution hub in Tennessee, and it affected 133,000 vaccines that were supposed to get here this week. State leaders told us today they are, quote, making adjustments to make sure appointments in clinics do not need to be canceled.
And the situation is much worse in other states. Texas shut down vaccinations altogether because of ongoing power outages. San Francisco paused them due to a lack of doses.
Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson, who says Colorado is about to see some snowy weather roll in. Mike?
We started very cold again this morning on the Eastern Plains. Check these numbers out. 25 below at Sterling, 29 below down at Lamar, and 1 below zero in Denver. But the cold did spill over on the other side of the mountains. 9 below zero in Salida early on this morning. Right now, we're back up to 32 in Denver, and it's even made the teens out on the Northeast Plains at the moment. But we already have avalanche warnings and snow advisories in effect in the mountains. An air quality advisory up toward the Fort Collins-Greeley area, and you can see that snow starting to increase a little bit coming our way from the northwest. It's not a major storm, but we should see probably a good half a foot of snow in the mountains and a few inches down here on the plains coming up in the next day and a half. So not as cold tonight. Snow in the mountains. There are a few flurries around the Denver area now. We'll see a little bit more snow by tomorrow morning. But I do have some great news in the 7-day forecast. I'll share that with you in just a bit.
Report of that great news. Thank you, Mike. Well, as you know, the vaccine has been such an important part of Colorado's drive to rebound from the virus. Well, now the state government's looking to step on the gas.
It is day one of the state legislature. They're looking at ways to pour millions of dollars into our economic recovery. Here's Denver7's Megan Lopez.
I've always believed that our strength comes from...
On the first day of the second start to the 2021 legislative session, more of the traditional pomp and circumstance we've come to expect.
Welcome to the 73rd General Assembly.
Opening speeches, applause, and calls for a bipartisan effort to pass meaningful reform.
We're ready to get back to work. We're ready to start passing policy.
On the top of the agenda is COVID relief, and part of that means waiting on the federal government for more money.
I absolutely think that the infusion of federal dollars into the state will change the conversation on the first floor and the second floor.
Last time around, the federal funding came while the legislature was in recess.
And then a lot of those dollars had to be spent after the legislature gavelled out for the year.
The governor allocated most of that money out.
But much has changed.
This time around, if and when that next round of stimulus spending comes, it will be while lawmakers are here.
This year, yes, I think there'll be more input from the legislature.
Another big focus will be on lowering health care costs. For Democrats,
we have a real good concept this year to, give the industry the opportunity to correct itself, and presenting that. And then, but also telling them that if they can't correct it, then we're going to step in.
Republicans have a different approach.
The fundamental answer in my mind is get government out of health insurance and health care.
The public option also on the table once again this session.
I just think it's such an important issue that we can't stand idly by and say, they'll figure it out.
Public option are just two words that mean more government control. Government control of what? You.
Safe gun storage, election integrity bills, and more were also brought up in the first day, and a little drama.
I'm asking that a panel be formed to take testimony in public under oath.
Hey, Representative Valdez.
Freshman Representative Ron Hanks facing criticism for being in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. But Speaker Alec Garnett shut that speech down quickly.
Really, that's not the role of the legislature. That Representative Hanks, during the events in January 6th, was not sworn in as a member. And truly, he's just here to represent his constituents.
A busy start already with a lot more to come. Megan Lopez, Denver7.
And Denver7 will be streaming Governor Polis's State of the State address tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. You can look for Denver7 on your favorite streaming device, or you can always just visit thedenverchannel.com. President Biden is in Wisconsin tonight to make his case for a $1.9 trillion stimulus package.
So far, the pitch seems to be working. An ABC News survey showed 67% of Americans support the Biden stimulus plan. 9 in 10 approve of his overall plan. And the question now may not be if the bill will pass, but how. Democrats can push it across the line by themselves. Republicans have met privately with the president, but we have not seen those talks impact the actual bill. And while Republicans on Capitol Hill are hesitant over the price, Republicans in state governments just want to see a deal.
Well, we need to get the money in the hands of the people, especially in the hospitality industry, that have suffered so much, and get it there quickly.
And today, the president extended a foreclosure ban until the end of June. That was supposed to expire March 31st. The eviction moratorium for renters is still set to expire at the end of March.
The U.S. Senate will hold its first hearing about Capitol security failures next week. Senators will hear from the former Capitol Police Chief, former Senate Sergeant at Arms, and former House Sergeant at Arms. All three resigned in the wake of the January 6th insurrection, in which one Capitol police officer was killed. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi said eventually there will be a 9/11-style commission to investigate the incident.
A family in Denver found themselves in massive debt after the death of their father last month. They could barely afford to get his body back to his hometown in Texas and found themselves struggling with loss and debt.
That is, until you, our Denver7 viewers, stepped up to help. Here's Gary Brode.
Much of what these brothers own sits in the front yard.
We've just been on a mission to try and get rid of it all.
They're selling everything to pay what they still owe, following the death of their father, Henry Cervantes.
You know, we miss him a lot, so I've been dreaming nonstop about my dad.
We first met Chris Pedroza and Michael Cervantes in early February. We found out their dad, Henry, had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. They convinced him to move from Texas to Denver to seek treatment in hopes of prolonging his life.
Please, Dad, like we don't want to lose you. You know, we got grandbabies. You know, we all want to see you.
Their father agreed. However, it wouldn't last as long as they hoped. Henry Cervantes died at the age of 72, one day before he was set to begin treatment.
Everybody's struggling for us, and I know my dad wouldn't have wanted it that way. He would have wanted to do it at the most cheapest. And
the family was in the same situation then they are now, owing thousands of dollars for the cost of their father's funeral.
$4,000 is for I guess it's a funeral home. $1,000's owed for the actual burial plot. Pretty much the main thing now is I'm like super now behind on rent, and it comes out to about $5,000.
But through the darkness, light appears. Through the Denver7 Gives Fund, thanks to our viewers at home, we're going to cover all those big expenses right there. This is nearly $10,000.
Oh, dang. That's a lot of help. We've been struggling. Yeah, thank you. This is going to help out so much. You don't even know, right now.
Because of our Denver7 viewers, this family can focus on remembering Henry's life and not his death.
I want to say, on behalf of my dad, Henry Enrique Cervantes, I know he's looking down on everybody that helped out, and I'm sure he just wants to thank all of y'all, because the last thing he wanted to do is leave his family in debt.
Gary Brode, Denver7.
Next at 5, a closer look at the pandemic's impact on parents and how politicians could try to capitalize.
Plus, a warning from one woman who watched her Wi-Fi bill climb with no warning.
But then I started noticing my bill went from $80 to $90 to $235.
And a Wyoming sheriff makes history simply by taking the job.